Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to Emergency Management Associates, coming to you from the Area Command, 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. We want to welcome everybody here who is joining us on our program tonight. Charlie's here, Renee Steffi's here, Jossie Rod is here, Eller is here, my buddy Don Patoka from Utah is here. Welcome, Don. We appreciate you so much. Renee Steffi, Isaiah's granny is here. Sleeping Volcano, Scott Kitchell is here. Again, Charlie's here. Demon Catman from the east of England is here. Sleeping Volcano, Hardknack Farms is here. Welcome everybody here to our program tonight. Thank you so much for being here. One of the biggest things we've had today was an earthquake over in Barstow. Now, yes, it's not the largest earthquake of the day, granted. But this is an earthquake here in Southern California. Now, this seems like it's a little bit blurry in picture here, but it's the best I can do for right now. I've got a better earthquake pic in just a second of this earthquake. This is southeast of Barstow, California. This is out east of Victorville, California. Isaiah's granny is here in our chat room. She said her house rocked. Her house rocked. Victorville area, Barstow area rocked like a can of beans being tossed off a table. Folks, this is a big earthquake. Now, I don't believe it's the only earthquake that's going to hit. We've already had aftershocks of this earthquake. Now, USGS is saying this was a 5.1 earthquake. I call bullcrap. Let me show you another slide here. Okay, this is a slide that I put together after going to the back seismologist study page on the USGS site. This shows it to be a 4.9 earthquake. It came out originally as a 5.1, and it was immediately downgraded to a 4.7. Then it was upgraded to a 4.8. Now, you see here on this slide here. Okay, please pay attention to this slide. This is important. See where it says 4.87? That's what they downgraded it to first, a 4.7, then they upgraded it to a 4.8. Then it also shows a 4.65 here. It was not a 4.65. Notice it shows 15 stations reporting that earthquake. It was not a 4.65. Now, at the 4.87 it says no station details contributed. There it says it has 6 stations but no details. Really? They're not willing to talk about it. That's why. Let's scroll up here, or scroll down here just a little bit more. Notice here it says a 4.98. 15 stations. It was not a 4.98. Let's scroll down here a little bit more to 5.28. Okay? It came out as a 5.1. Here it says 5.28. So I clicked on that. It says 177 stations reported. Well, guess what? Guess what, guys? This was not a 4.7. It was not a 4.8. It was not a 5.1. This was at a minimum of a 5.5 earthquake. This was a minimum of a 5.5 earthquake. This was not anything less than that. I went to the back seismologist study page and clicked on the area where it shows details on the 5.28. It showed 177 stations, so I went through each and every one of them. Most of the stations reported 5.1, 5.2, 5.5, 5.6, 5.7, 5.8, and there was also 3 showing 6.01, 6.2, and 6.4. Okay? As much as a 6.4 that was possibly even at the epicenter where the quake was. Okay? That's how they do that. The stations that show the highest seismological setting shows it usually is right at the epicenter. So we take all of those earthquakes. We take all those earthquakes and add them up. Then we divide by 177. Well, guess what? We came up with a 5.57. A 5.57. Now this was at least that. It was not a 5.1. It wasn't a 4.9, as they are saying. This was probably a 5.5 to 5.7 earthquake. I'm just telling you. I put all the information together. I did my addition and my multiplication and division. And guess what? With everything put together and then divided out, it came up with at least a 5.57 earthquake. It was probably upwards of above that. Okay? Because we know that USGS tells us nothing but lies. They don't tell us anything but lies. They only want us to know what they want us to know and nothing else. Now, even with that, let me show you another slide. This was my earthquake app, the EMSC app. This shows it being downgraded to 4.87. Now, why am I showing you that? Let me enlarge this map a little bit more. You need to see what we see here. Okay? Look at this area where this earthquake hit. Look at the area where the earthquake hit. This is a volcanic area. This is a volcanic area. There's also a couple other earthquake faults out here as well. And you can see that. Where you see that second red mark there, that second red dot or teardrop, that is an earthquake fault running left to right. Okay? Running from left to right here. It looks like a hilly range, doesn't it? A mountainous range. That's an earthquake fault. So this was right near an earthquake fault, but remember, the mountains are created by what? The mountains are created by volcanoes. And you can see the craters here. You can see the craters here. You also see Interstate 15 here. Interstate 15 is a north-south highway running from San Diego City all the way up to Wyoming, Yellowstone area. Okay? This is a volcanic area where this earthquake hit. Now there's two things here. One, the fault set this earthquake off. Or the second idea, volcanoes. We know for a fact that all of the volcanoes are recharging. There is magma out near the surface. Okay? Magma out here. Folks, this is an earthquake. This is a big earthquake. This is a large earthquake. By all means, it's a large earthquake. A mid-range 5. It's no small wonder we have just rocking of Isaiah Granny's home. Okay? It's a big deal. Isaiah's Granny's here in the chat said Calco is an old silver mine. Actually, lots of mines. Yes, Isaiah's Granny and I have discussed going out there on digs and finding what we can find. Now, there are silver mines. I believe there's some gold mines out here and other rich mineral mines that have either been abandoned or are not being worked very much. It's a big deal out here. But like I said, look at the volcanic craters here. Look at the volcanic craters. Two things. We either have an earthquake caused by an earthquake fault, because it's right next to a fault, or we have another source that could have been magma down beneath the surface. Now, folks, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. Okay? I spent a good share of time today since this earthquake hit at 4 p.m. California time. I spent a great deal of time here getting the information for you tonight. I believe that we need to pay attention to what we're seeing here. We need to pay close attention to what we're seeing. Because, folks, a lot of people live in the nearby vicinity. There is a 25% chance that this earthquake could be a foreshock. That this earthquake could be a foreshock of a much larger earthquake. There is that chance. There is that chance of this earthquake being a foreshock of a much larger earthquake. Now, what do we think? What do we think? There's already been numerous aftershocks. 2.68, 1.89, 2.2, and 3.47. Already aftershocks here. There is a possibility of this earthquake being a much larger earthquake coming in the next few hours, or even the next few days. We've had aftershocks happen for days and days after an earthquake of this magnitude. But what do we need to remember here? What do we need to remember? We could have a major earthquake after this, because this could spawn another larger, more shallow earthquake. This earthquake depth was nothing. Was nothing. 1.0 to 4 miles deep. Some of these aftershocks are 4 miles deep. Some of them are 1.0 miles deep, 1 mile deep. Let me look at another here just a second. There's another aftershock that is 1.7 miles deep. Okay? What I'm saying here is we have a depth issue. We have a depth issue. We have earthquakes here that are a depth of 1 mile deep, all the way up to 4 miles deep and 5 miles deep. We could have another earthquake here. These earthquakes that we're seeing here are very shallow earthquakes, but we could still get a large earthquake. Okay? We need to keep our eye on the ball here. We've been expecting a large earthquake here for quite a long time. This may be a foreshock. We need to keep our eye on the ball. I'm sure Isaiah's granny doesn't want another earthquake to rock her home all over the place. I wouldn't want that to happen to me either. But we need to keep our eye on the ball. This is a big deal. This is a huge deal. Okay? Now, I got another map to show you live here. I've got another map to show you live. This is what that area looks like right here. Look at all those craters there. Look at all those craters, guys. This is very much a volcanic area. This is very much a volcanic area. Each one of those craters are where lava has spewed out as a vent, where lava came out of the earth as a vent. It could be happening again. We could see another volcano erupting in that area. We don't know. We don't know. What I'm saying is we cannot take our eye off the ball. We have to keep our eye on the ball. Okay? I'm just saying. We need to know what's going on. Isaiah's granny is a very dear friend of mine. I value her as a friend. I also value her as a family member. My own family. I wouldn't want her or her children or grandchildren to get hurt. But this is very serious. It's very close to her home. And many other people's homes as well. Please share this program with everybody you know, so everybody will see what we're seeing. Okay? I don't want to take anybody by chance. I don't want anything to happen to anyone. But on the same token, there is a lot going on. There is a lot going on. Now, just briefly, Mark Wages came on the air last night. Mark Wages is a very dear friend of mine. He also has a channel here on YouTube called Wages World. For those of you that did not see his program, I highly recommend, after you get off the air with me, to go over to Wages World and watch his program from last night. Folks, we have been having a lot of solar coronal mass ejections. Some of them have been halo ejections. Some of these have been halo ejections, meaning the coronal mass ejection will lift off the sun. The plasma radiation will lift off the sun and it will go back like this in a halo ejection. Some of those eruptions from the sun go straight out into space. Now, why am I saying that? Folks, if you look at my program description tonight, you're going to see what I'm saying. Mark Wages gave us a program last night. It was about a 45-50 minute program. But there's been an X14 flare from the other night. An X-class 14 flare. That flare erupted from the backside of the sun. There's also been an X11 class flare. An X7 class flare. 5 solar storms blasted off the sun. 5 solar storms blasted off the sun. There is a solar storm warning out for the next 3 days. There is a solar storm warning out for the next 3 days. Why is that important? Because, folks, we've already seen a large earthquake here near Barstow, California today, near Isaiah's granny's house. Isaiah's granny is one of my mods here that I care very much about. She gave you the YouTube link to his program. So after you get off the air here with me, go over and watch his program. I think you're going to be very much, not just entertained, I was going to say entertained, but not just entertained, but you'll get a lot of information from it. You need to be aware of this. Today we've also had a 6.0 over in Tonga that I'm going to talk about in a minute. Those X-class flares, multiple X-class flares, they can cause a lot of damage. That X14 flare that we saw the other day on the backside of the sun, I believe was from sunspot 3764 or 3768. Don't remember right now. But folks, that solar flare is coming. That sunspot is coming back around to Earth facing. As we orbit the sun like this, we're going to see that same sunspot come around Earth facing. If we've already seen an X-class 14 flare just 3 days ago, guess what? It's coming back around. We've also seen an X11, an X8, and an X7. Those are very strong solar flares. Very strong solar flares. There has been geomagnetic eruption here on this Earth, meaning our electronics have been affected. We have lost some satellites out of orbit around the Earth. That solar radiation pushes those satellites out of orbit and heads them back into a splashdown in one of the oceans. Now, you shouldn't be scared at all. You should not be scared. But you need to be prepared. That's all I've ever said. With that many X-class flares, guys, we're already getting hit here on the Earth today. Earth is already absorbing that solar radiation today. It's going to hit the Earth for the next 3 days. But we also have other activity at the sun. And it's also going to affect what we see on the Earth. More earthquakes. More earthquakes. Larger earthquakes. Larger earthquakes. With this kind of solar activity, we've seen 7.0s and 7.4 earthquakes before. It can happen again. Shelly Dean is in the chat saying hi, Ron Tyler. Hi, Shelly. We appreciate you being here. Folks, please, as Don Patoka is saying here in the chat, keep your head on a swivel. Your eyes wide open. You need to keep prepared. You need to keep your family prepared. Tim Gibson is here in the chat. Hi, Tim. It's good to see you. All the way from Ohio. Folks, it's important. It's very important. My friend George Rashad from California is here. He says it's better to have and not need than to need and not have. Exactly. We've been talking about emergency preparedness for a very long time. I'm asking all of you, again, to have an emergency preparedness plan. And it doesn't mean just being prepared for earthquakes. Yes, earthquakes are what we talk about a lot here. They happen every day, many times a day. It's not just earthquakes that we need to be prepared for. What other things are happening right now on our earth, right now, even here in the United States, all the way around the world? What is happening? What do you think is happening? We talk about it all the time, don't we? All the time. How about fires? Fires all over California. From Chino all the way over to Northern California near Mount Lassen. This storm, guys, this firestorm is huge. It's huge, guys. I'm not kidding now. One of our friends that's also on YouTube, and he's also a mod on this channel. He's been keeping me up with what's going on. Hundreds of thousands of miles of fires. Incredible. It's absolutely insane, guys. It's absolutely insane what we're seeing. Okay? What we've been seeing is huge. Like 526,000 square miles of earth burned. Like 526,000 square miles of earth burned. And guess what? Remember the Paradise fire from a couple 3 years ago? This fire is headed right for Paradise again. Right for Paradise again. Now, it's sad. It's very, very sad. Paradise was sad. I believe that was our government at work setting that fire. A lot of people died with that fire. A lot of people have already died with this fire now. Buildings demolished completely down to the ground. Hundreds of cattle have died. Homes destroyed. Livelihoods destroyed. Now, I can't tell you how that affects me, but I know how it affects you. I could tell you about me, but it's not me that's important. It's about all of you. I do not like to see people killed. I don't like to see homes destroyed. Yesterday I saw homes being burned to the ground. Cars and trucks and heavy equipment burning to the ground. Melting and burning to the ground. Tim Gibson says, missing children. That really tears at my heart. Missing children. We need to pray for those people. We need to pray for the people that are in the path of the fire now, and also those that have already had that fire touch their lives. Hardak Farms is in the chat saying they had a fire in 2014 that burned a huge chunk of their farm. Their ecosystem is still off. When we have a fire like that, the ecosystem never fully recovers for many years. They can't grow the kinds of plants that they used to grow for a long time. The soil in their ecosystem has to recover. It's hard. It's hard. It's terrifying. Now, these flames were going as far as high, boy, I can't talk. Those flames that you're seeing right here were going upwards of 5,000 feet into the air. 5,000 feet into the air. Now, on Friday, a fireplane pilot crashed. The air tanker crashed while fighting a fire in Oregon. It's hard. I have a friend out of Sacramento who's been flying air tankers fighting fires for years. His wife and I wish he would retire, but it's in his blood to help save people's lives. So he's going to keep flying this for as long as he can, helping put out these fires that you see right here. But that air tanker was flying over the Elkhorn area near Seneca, Oregon when he crashed, fighting that fire. It's very sad. He died, tragically. We've seen this happen time and time again. Over the past 5.5 years that we've been on the air here on YouTube, I have personally known that 2 other aircraft went down fighting fires. We also had a firefighting crew from Arizona fighting a fire in California who perished. These are highly trained fire crews. And when I find out about one of them passing, it tears at my heart. And it tears at my family's heart. Now, folks, we need to pray. In our morning and night prayers, we need to mention these families. We need to mention the families who have lost loved ones, who've lost everything they had as a result of these fires burning through the area. This is only the end of July. We still have August, September, October, and even possibly November before we see these fires finally dying down and hopefully going away. In Canada, Western Canada, we've also seen terrifying fires there. Acreage is lost. Acreages, hectares lost. People's homes, businesses, gone. John Francis is here saying last year it was so terrible in Canada, the sky was blanketed with smoke for 2 days where he lived. The 500 miles south on the Endless Mountains in Pennsylvania. We saw that happen. If you remember what happened, they had fires over there in southwestern Canada, even around where Barry Prince lives in Terrace, Canada. Those fires burned, forced smoke throughout Canada, and it also came into the central United States, and then it spread eastward. We even had smoke here in North Carolina where I live. Choking smoke where I lived. We coughed. I even wore a mask when I went outside when it was so bad. I didn't wear it for long because I can't breathe normally with a mask. The mask you wear, when I wear it, it chokes air away from me. And I'm already on this thing. When I have to wear a mask because of the air quality, it's even worse. Folks, you need to be careful. You need to be careful. We are already seeing smoke from California flow into Utah and Idaho and Colorado and Wyoming and Montana. And they have their own fires there also. Everyone, you need to be careful. You need to be watching what you're doing. We also are seeing extreme temperatures that are not helping the fires at all. The extreme temperatures are aiding the fires. Now, there is not a lot of rain that is flowing down to the surface of the earth at all to help the firefighters. Let's pray for rain to help put these fires out. John Francis is saying here in the chat, fire is nothing to take lightly. I agree. We need to be very wary of what's going on around us. Fires could happen anywhere, literally anywhere where we're at. We need to be cognizant of everything going on. Don't let any possibility happen where you may start a fire, and help your neighbors and friends and family also prevent fire. And if you see smoke coming up, report it to the fire departments. Report it to your local fire departments. If you live in California, report it to CAL FIRE. They used to call it California Division of Forestry. They now call it CAL FIRE. Report it. We don't want any more fires than we already have. Be very careful, guys. It happens at the drop of a hat. I'm not prepared to show you all the fires throughout the United States, but there are a lot of them. Tomorrow I'm going to try to show you that information, because I believe everybody deserves to know what's going on. Everybody deserves to know what's going on. Now, it's not just fires. Okay? Earlier today we had another volcano in Japan. Over near the eastern side of Japan in Honshu, Japan. Sakurajima erupted. Sakurajima erupted up to 20,000 feet high. That's a big deal. You can see the ash cloud rising up from the volcano. You can also see the steam from the side of the volcano as well. It's a big deal. Sakurajima has been erupting for a very long time. Sakurajima has been erupting for a very long time. Now, Holly Flower is saying a 5.1 earthquake hit in San Francisco Bay. I have the USGS map here that I can bring up. There it is. Let me take my mug down here. Okay. I don't see a big earthquake near San Francisco Bay at all yet. It doesn't mean it didn't happen. I'm not saying that. But right now, USGS is not showing any earthquakes at all near San Francisco Bay. Let me check my other map here on my device. Sometimes the map on my device shows things earlier than USGS ever will. I always use my device either on my phone or on my tablet here to pull up information. No, I'm not showing anything. I'm not showing anything showing a large earthquake. I'm showing a 1.57 over in Gilroy. A 1.57 over here in Gilroy, California, right here. That is just east of Monterey Bay here. Okay? Northeast of San Francisco Bay here, Suisun City, California. This is a 2.7 magnitude earthquake, a minor earthquake here, a minor earthquake there. The only other earthquake we have further down the San Andreas Fault in Northern California is right here. This is the Pinnacles. This is the Pinnacles, guys. The Pinnacles is an earthquake fault, or is an area of California right on the San Andreas earthquake fault. You also need to realize this area of the Pinnacles is an area where they have oil and gas pumping operations. And sometimes this also is a spot where we have oil and gas operations here. Sometimes when we see earthquakes here, it's because of the oil and gas pumps and jacks here at the Pinnacles here in California. Okay? Further north, you always see earthquakes 100 miles north of San Francisco Bay. This is the geysers facility. This is the geysers facility here. This facility is a geothermal facility. Why do we see earthquakes here? Can you even guess why we see earthquakes here? Folks, we see earthquakes here because men have dug or drilled into this lake right here. You're seeing a lake just north of these earthquakes here. This is the Clear Lake volcano. This is the Clear Lake volcano. Now I'm going to make this map a little bit easier to see because I don't think you can see what I'm showing you here. Okay, you're not seeing the Clear Lake volcano right until now. Okay? This is the Clear Lake volcano. It's a huge lake. There's hundreds of people living in and around the lake area. This is a volcano. And sometimes we even have earthquakes in the center of this lake and around this lake. But men have drilled into the upper magma chambers of this volcano to obtain steam to power turbines to generate electricity for 4 energy conglomerates, including Pacific Gas and Electric, and also the energy conglomerate that provides electricity for Utah. How about that? How about that? That and 2 other energy conglomerates as well. But what do we have here? What do we have here? Okay? I've often shown this. I'm going to show it to you again. Let's zoom in here and see what we see. Okay? We see earthquakes right here, don't we? Oh yeah. What else is here? What else is here, guys? This is one of the turbine facilities. This is one of the turbine facilities here. This turbine facility takes that steam from the volcano to generate electricity here. There are 81 turbines all throughout this facility. 81 turbines. This particular facility that you see right here is 10 turbines here. 10 turbines. Multiply that times 8 to imagine how many turbines are here in the mountains 100 miles north of San Francisco Bay. The reason we have earthquakes here is because each area where we have an earthquake, the earthquake seismic energy comes out and looks for those drill points. It looks for the drill points. Let me zoom in here. Right here. Right here. You see drill points here. These drill points here go deep into the earth and over to that volcano. They go into the earth, into that volcano. And from here at the drill points, there are PVC pipes carrying the steam from the volcano over here to this set of turbines here and other turbines all throughout this area. Even over here. Here's another set of turbines here. Like I said, the turbines are all over the place. Right next to this turbine, this set of turbines here, we see some drill points. We see some drill points that go into the volcano, and then they come and take the steam from the volcano via this tubing that you see all along the roadways here. See all this tubing? It runs all along the side of the roadways. In this case, it carries the steam directly from these drill points over here to these turbines here. You can see them. John Francis is asking, Ron, do you have a ham radio? Yes, I do. If you do, is it worth having one? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It's definitely worth having. Now, let me back out of here. I want to show you some more earthquakes around the globe. Over here on the southern side, I'll talk about ham radios in just a minute, John Francis. Don Patoga knows I have ham radios, and I also have other communication radios in case of an emergency. We can talk about those again in a few minutes. Over here on the southern side of the Cascadia subduction zone, we have an earthquake here. This is a 2.3 earthquake. This is a 2.3 earthquake here. Down here, we have 3 earthquake faults. This one running north and south along the coast of California, Oregon, and Washington, and Canada is the Cascadia subduction zone. The Cascadia subduction zone. The Cascadia subduction zone comes down here to Northern California, where it joins 2 other earthquake faults. The earthquake fault that you see running out to sea here is the Gorda Escarpment. The other earthquake fault you see joined here to the Gorda Escarpment and the Cascadia subduction zone is called the San Andreas Fault. The San Andreas Fault. That same fault that 5.5 earthquake just west of Isaiah's granny's home caused that earthquake. The San Andreas Fault. Now, probably tomorrow, since I don't have time tonight, probably tomorrow I'll talk more about the Cascadia subduction zone and what you might see happening as a result of the Cascadia subduction zone. Okay? I want everybody to understand what's going on. Again, that San Andreas Fault runs all the way down through California, starting way up here. This 2.3 earthquake in Ferndale, California, was just north of the San Andreas Fault. But it was right in the Cascadia subduction zone area, right along the coast of Northern California right there. And the Cascadia subduction zone also carries earthquakes from Canada all the way down here. In fact, that's why we have that 2.3 earthquake here in Ferndale, California. Again, the San Andreas Fault runs all the way south from here all the way through California. But not just that. It runs all the way through California here and all the way down here through northern Mexico, out here into the Gulf of California, running all the way down here. And yes, we do have earthquakes here. We do have earthquakes on the San Andreas Fault here in the Gulf of California. It runs all the way south here. USGS almost never shows the earthquakes here. Almost never. Occasionally they'll show 1 or 2, but that's all. Because they don't want anybody to know what's going on. Let me show you here. Okay? Right here. This is Puerto Vallarta. Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. From here south, Along the coastline, we see 40 earthquakes. 40 earthquakes. 40 earthquakes from this point all the way to Puerto Vallarta. 40 earthquakes. USGS is not showing any of them. There are a lot of earthquakes here. 3.5, 3.3, 3.7, 4.0, 4.1, 4.4, 4.5 earthquakes. Okay? All over this area. USGS not showing one of them. These earthquakes run north, all the way up into California. All the way north into California. Yes, there are earthquakes here in Central America. USBS is only showing one earthquake here. This is near Barica, Panama. Near Barica, Panama. This is off the Cocos Plate here. This earthquake fault that you see running off the southwestern coast of Central America here, this is the Cocos Plate. The Cocos Plate here. This earthquake here, just off the coast of Barica, Panama here, this is a 4.6 earthquake. Be Real Beast just gave us a $10 super chat. Thank you so much for that. God bless you for that. I'm giving you an EMA sticker on your super chat. Whenever we get someone who gives a super chat like this, we give you an EMA sticker on your super chat. Thank you so much for that. We appreciate it so much. God bless you for that. All of your super chats and donations, either via our post office box or our PayPal, come to keep this program on the air. Our costs keep going up. I hate even talking about that, but the costs keep going up. We appreciate that, Be Real Beast. We really do. That makes me happy, and I know it makes all of you happy because this is just one more step to keep us on the air. When I first started this venture on YouTube, I didn't even think that it would cost money. I soon found that out. In order to keep this channel on the air, it takes money to pay for Wi-Fi service, or what they call bandwidth, to keep this program on the air. I'm now paying $240 a month for bandwidth. And this month, I'm now having to pay another $240 for electricity. Our electricity just went skyrocketing. Last month it was $110, and now it's all the way up to $240. That's nearly $500 in utilities alone. Unreal. So folks, when you give us donations, either in the form of super chats, or you send us donations in the mail, or over to our PayPal, we really appreciate it. Right below this program that you're seeing here is our program description. In the top of our program description, we have our email address. We also have the possibility for all of you to join this channel as members of this channel for as little as $1.99 a month and no more than $3.99 a month to help keep this channel in the air. We appreciate that. And we also have our PayPal locations. We have our post office box, 104 North Green Street, box 105, Morganton, North Carolina. The zip code is 28655. We have not had one card or letter, nor even one support donation in our post office for almost 4 weeks now. My wife and I checked the post office today. We have not had one card or letter or one donation in a card or letter in almost 4 weeks now. I'm very seriously thinking about shutting the post office down. The post office costs money to keep, and I've kept it up here so you guys can send us cards and letters. I've kept it up so you can send us donations. But if we're not getting cards and letters, what use is it of anybody. We appreciate you guys so much that we've had that here for all of you. So please make it useful. Make it useful. I love seeing cards and letters telling me and my wife what you guys are doing in terms of preparedness. How you all are doing as a family. That also means the world to us. We care about you. We care about you greatly. Now, something else. Something else. Let me turn this map off for just a minute. My buddy Demon Catman. He sent a package to me about 6 weeks ago, maybe a little more than that. He sent me a package. In that package, he sent me some rock, some obsidian. He sent me a great big huge obelisk of obsidian. See that? A great big huge obelisk of obsidian. And yes, it's heavy. It's a heavy piece of obsidian. Snowflake obsidian. He sent me smaller pieces of snowflake obsidian, such as this one here. You can see small pieces of snowflake in the obsidian. That's where the lava cooled. That's where the lava cooled. The snowflakes in the obsidian are actually quartz. Quartz forms when the obsidian cools. Okay? Like this. Besides that great big obelisk, he sent me a ball. An obsidian ball. Now I have 2 obsidian balls. Isn't that cool? Great big obsidian ball. This obsidian ball also has snowflakes in it. Look at that. It has snowflakes. Demon Catman, I love you for it. I appreciate that so much. That adds to my rock collection. I also have a rock collection here. I've had a rock collection since my time in high school. I started a rock collection back then, and when I got into college and went into geology, I also picked up more rocks. And over the years, all of you have helped me with that rock collection. I also like trains. I love trains. Some of you have also sent me trains here, which I greatly appreciate. Behind me on my wall, I have pictures of trains. Over on this wall, I have pictures of my family and more trains. I love trains. Pretty soon, I'm going to have a small train layout where I can run trains up and down tracks. I love trains. Some of you have also helped me with my train collection, and you guys have helped me with other things in regards to my trains. I love trains. Okay? I love rocks. You guys talk about ham radio. This is one of my ham radios here. Okay? This is a handheld radio. This is a handheld radio. Okay? With it, I have a handheld microphone that I can clip to my collar, or when I'm in a suit coat, which I sometimes do, I can clip it to the inside part of my suit coat, where I can listen to it and only me hear what's going on. Heidi Petrick just gave us another $10 super chat. Thank you, Heidi. God bless you for that. I really appreciate that so much, Heidi. God bless you. Another $10 super chat. That's awesome. These ham radios will help you stay in contact if there's an emergency. Yes, you have to have a license to operate this ham radio. But it's not that hard to get a license. It's not that hard to get a license at all. I used to teach ham radio training to teach people how to get licensed. And every class that I taught, I never had anyone that didn't pass a test. It's not that hard. Okay? It's not that hard. I keep this on hand and charged in case of an emergency. I also have a small base station here, and I also have a radio in the car. I've also got a CB radio in the car, a citizens band radio, so I can communicate. I've also got other radios I can talk about another time. Ham radios has always been a big part of my life because I believe in emergency preparedness. All of you know that. All of you know that. Because I have helped you. I have helped you in many ways. Okay, Tim Gibson says he uses his CB. CB radios help a lot of people, including Highway Runner. Highway Runner's here in the chat. She has a CB radio in her truck. Okay, ham radio range is long. Yes, it is long. CB radio might get you anywhere up to 4 to 5 miles away. If you have what they call a linear, which is not legal, you might be able to talk a lot further. If you're up on a mountaintop, for example, in California, in San Diego, there's a mountain called Palomar Mountain, 7,000 feet high. One time when I was up on top of Palomar Mountain with a CB radio, I talked to Hawaii. Okay? So CB radio is good. Diane Kelman's here in the chat. Who can you reach with ham radio? The police or fire? Folks, you can't reach the police or fire unless they have a ham radio in their trucks or their cars. There are people, police and firemen, that have CB radios and or ham radios. Ham radio operators are all around the world. Literally. England, Germany, Austria, Croatia, Sweden, Norway, and Denmark. When I lived in Sweden, I visited a ham radio operator in Umeå, Sweden, northern Sweden. He showed me his radio room. He had radios on all 3 walls around him. It was awesome. I even talked to one of my friends in Poway, California, where my parents lived, and he patched me into my parents. He called my parents on the phone, and I talked to my parents via ham radio. Wild. Yes, there are ham radio operators all around the world, and you can contact these ham radio operators. When you have a radio license, you can talk to these people, and they can help get you help when you need it. They can assist in getting fire, police, and paramedics to where you need to go. Or they might be able to help you get weather information as well. They can help you get all kinds of emergency information when you need it. Ham radio is awesome. Ham radio is awesome. John Francis is saying, thank you, Ron, going to look into ham radio. It's awesome. I highly recommend you do that. Okay? It's awesome. Now, I talked about ham radio, didn't expect to do that. But that's okay. That's okay. Diane Kelman says, are they different channels? Yes, they are. They're different channels. In some areas, one channel, one frequency will get you a lot of places. One frequency will get you a lot of places, but in order to understand how that happens, you need to understand more than just knowing about a little bit about ham radio. Okay? I can talk about ham radio for hours. Richard Smith says, I could talk to the International Space Station, but I don't have a license. He doesn't have a license. I do have a license, and I did talk with the ISS years ago. Okay? Don Patoka says, no channels, just frequencies. Yes, different frequencies. I'm sorry I used the word channels. Channels are on CB radio, 40 channels. Ham radio has frequencies, tons of frequencies. Okay? It's a great way to communicate. Don Patoka says, GMRS, General Mobile Radio Service. Don Patoka's here in the chat saying, General Mobile Radio Service, CB radios with channels. Okay? GMRS, General Mobile Radio Service channels, are a great way to go. Okay? With the GMRS radios, you're going to be able to talk longer distances as well. Okay? Anyway, I got off the beaten path with ham radios. Yes, I can talk about ham radios all night long. Let's go back to earthquakes for a minute. Okay? Let's go back to earthquakes for a little while. Okay. Let's move through here so I can show you what's going on. You see some earthquakes over here in Puerto Rico. Let's briefly talk about that. Over 4 years ago, 4.5 years ago, December 26th and December 28th, 2019, an organization that started with an outfit, a radio frequency, several radio frequency transmitters in Alaska. Now there are facilities all over the world with these radio frequency transmitters. Now, I don't like it. I don't like it. I believe there's been more damage done by these people than anybody can even realize. Just really briefly, let me turn off that map. This organization right here, please do not put this in the chat. I don't want to see this organization show up in the chat. YouTube doesn't like when I talk about it, so I'm not mentioning the name. This organization here, on December 26th and again on December 28th, 2019, lit up 3 different facilities around the world. One in Norway. The second one was in Russia. The third one was in northwestern Australia. Those facilities opened up in a big way. They turned on their transmitters and transmitted a high frequency radio signal to Puerto Rico. They transmitted a high frequency radio wave here to Puerto Rico. On December 26th and December 28th, major earthquakes happened. On December 26th, that organization lit up those 3 different radio stations and transmitted that high frequency radio signal here to Puerto Rico, causing an 8.0 earthquake. That organization caused an 8.0 earthquake here on December 26th. On December 28th, they did it again, causing a major earthquake hit. An 8.4 December 28th. 8.0 on December 26th, causing major damage, destroying homes, destroying businesses. People had to sleep on their lawns. They were afraid to go in their houses because the houses were falling apart. Fact. One of my friends, Dominic, lives over here in near Guanica, Puerto Rico, southwest of Puerto Rico. He is a captain of the Puerto Rican police force. I had him on the air several years ago. He was telling us all about what happened. One day I had him on the air, and guess what? One of those earthquakes was shaking his house. One of those earthquakes shook his house hard, and I saw the blinds that covered his window shaking really bad. He says, "Oh, that's only a 3.5 earthquake." A 3.5 earthquake is considered to be a small quake. Guess what? They are still seeing earthquakes here in southwestern Puerto Rico as a result of those 8.0 and 8.4 earthquakes that hit here December 26th and December 28th, 2019. It happened. Today, look at this earthquake here. Today, this is an aftershock. Excuse me. This is an aftershock of those two major earthquakes. Even today, this is a 2.3 earthquake. A 2.3 minor earthquake. This one is 18 kilometers deep. 18 kilometers deep. It's right next to a major town here. A major city. You can also see other cities all around here. When those earthquakes struck, it killed people. It killed people. This is a 2.3. Look at this earthquake here. This is a 2.4 southeast of Lajas, Puerto Rico. Lajas, Puerto Rico. When that earthquake hit, I should say both of those earthquakes hit, it destroyed property. It destroyed a lot of property. A lot of property. Right here, along the coastal community of this city, there was a huge sand arch along the shoreline. Some that you would see in southern Utah at Arches National Park in Utah. Huge sandstone arch here. Well, guess what? On December 28th that year, when that 2.8 hit, or 2.4 that 8.4 earthquake hit, that sandstone arch came down. That sandstone arch came down, destroyed it. It was a natural wonder for Puerto Rico. They destroyed it. John Francis is asking, no tsunami, no. Why didn't it have a tsunami? Because it wasn't caused by the ground. It was not caused by the ground. It was caused by radio waves focused here into Puerto Rico by 3 different facilities that I told you about. That's why there was no tsunami. It was a man-made earthquake. A man-made earthquake. Incredible. Ruth St. John is here. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here, Ruth. We appreciate you being here. But that's what happened back in 2019. And we're still seeing earthquakes here, aftershocks, 4 years later. We have an earthquake up here just north of Dominican Republic, right next to what? The Cayman Ridge. This red line here is a major earthquake fault running here through the Gulf of Mexico, down here in the Caribbean, south of the Gulf of Mexico. This earthquake fault carries earthquakes from over in Guatemala all the way over here. This earthquake dropped a 3.8 earthquake here today. A 3.8 earthquake here today on the Cayman Ridge, right next to the Cayman Ridge. The Cayman Ridge drops earthquakes here every day, all the time. Another time we'll talk about the Cayman Ridge earthquakes. And as you can see right here, the Cayman Ridge originates over here in Guatemala. Right there. Right there. Let's go further south. Down here. This is out in the Pacific Ocean. 73 kilometers southeast of Panguey, Tonga. Panguey, Tonga. I have friends living here in Tonga. Not just on Panguey, Tonga, but all over here. All over the many islands of Tonga. Today we had a 6.0 major earthquake. Actually, I can't call it major. This is a 6.0 very strong earthquake. 6.0, 6.9 earthquakes are very strong earthquakes. 7.0 and larger earthquakes are called major earthquakes. This was a 6.0 very strong earthquake, just 73 kilometers southeast of Pangai, Tonga. A big deal. Now I'm going to zoom in here. I want to show you how far away this earthquake was. Okay? Yes, there are islands here. There are islands here. Okay? Wherever there's an island, if there's people on these islands, they feel the earthquake. This was 73 kilometers southeast of Pangai, Tonga. Okay? They may have felt some of this shaking. For the most part, the waters of the Pacific Ocean here absorbed the shock waves of this quake. But someone here on these islands may have felt the earth shaking, but they didn't feel the entire earthquake hit. Only part of the shaking. A small part of the shaking. The majority of the shaking was absorbed by the Pacific Ocean here. That's what happens. Over here, the Fiji area. This earthquake here is a 5.7 earthquake in Luvuka, Fiji. For some reason, oh, I know why. For some reason, USGS does not like me talking about the earthquakes. So just give me a chance, and I've got to reboot this map here. This happens maybe once a day, usually only once a time on my program here, where I have to reboot their map because they take it down. Go figure. They take it down right when I'm showing you what's going on. Let's go back down here to Fiji. Okay? Yes, there's an earthquake right here. This is south of the Fiji Islands. This is a 4.7 here. This is 658 kilometers deep. This is a very deep earthquake. This is a very deep earthquake. As I've talked about these earthquakes before, deep earthquakes propagate stronger, more shallower quakes. Stronger, more shallow quakes. In this case, this 4.7 is going to propagate a stronger, more shallow quake. In this case, this is a very deep quake, 658 kilometers deep. This is going to spawn, guys, this is going to spawn a 5.8 to a 6.0 earthquake. Just like we had this other 6.0 earthquake near Pangai, Tonga today, this 4.7 earthquake I'm showing you right now is going to spawn another 5.8 to 6.0 earthquake sometime within the next 3 to 10 days. Sometime in the next 3 to 10 days, we're going to see another 6.0, probably close to a 6.0 earthquake. It could happen here in Tonga, it could happen here in Fiji, or it could happen down here in Loyalty Islands here. This earthquake is a 5.3 large earthquake here. But that 6.0 earthquake could be over here. It's happened before. That 4.7 is going to spawn a much larger, shallower quake. That seismic energy could go south, over here to Loyalty Islands, or over here into the New Zealand. That's happened before too. There are earthquakes here in New Zealand, but USGS is not showing them. Not at all. Between Tonga here, where we show you this earthquake, about halfway down here is what they call the Kermadec Islands. The Kermadec Islands belong to New Zealand. Down here in the Kermadec Islands, we have a 5.0, another 4.7, a 4.3. We have 3.5 south of there, and even down here, over here in the Bay of Plenty, just north of the Big Island. north of the main island of Raoul Island, over here in the Bay of Plenty. There's another 4.5 earthquake here. Another 4.5 earthquake right here, just north of White Island that you see here. A 4.5. Again, USGS is not showing them to us. They're not showing any earthquakes here. There are 20 earthquakes here around New Zealand, either out here in the Bay of Plenty, over here on the east side of the island, or on the island, the two islands themselves. Okay? 20 earthquakes that they're not showing us. Not showing us. For those people that are new to this channel, I want to show you something. Right here, smack dab in the middle of Raoul Island, New Zealand, you see a lake here. You see a lake. Guess what, guys? This lake is a super volcano. This lake is a super volcano, just like Yellowstone, just like Long Valley in California. Super volcano, Topa Lake, Topa volcano, a super volcano here. There are earthquakes here all around Topa volcano. There are earthquakes down here just south of the volcano as well. There are earthquakes down here on the South Island that they're not showing here. Why not? Because USGS is too damn lazy to show them. USGS could, but they don't want to, because they don't want anybody to know what's going on. They don't want anybody to know what's going on. Just like this 4.7 here. We could see a larger, shallower quake down here in New Zealand that could destroy life, destroy buildings. John Francis is asking, any warnings on Alaska? Not right now. Not right now. There could be. There could be, but right now we have no warnings about Alaska. Not right now. Maybe tomorrow I'll talk more about Alaska as well. You ought to know what's going on in Alaska. Now, I told you about that large earthquake, that very strong earthquake over in Tonga. Well, guess what? Just northwest of there, this is also the Fiji region. This is a 4.4 earthquake, a moderate 4.4. The other one was a moderate 4.7. This is a moderate 4.4. Well, guess what? This is also going to spawn a more shallower and stronger quake. This is 559 kilometers deep. 559 kilometers deep. This earthquake is going to spawn a 5.5 earthquake. This 4.4 is going to spawn a 5.5 earthquake. North, south, it could go east as well. The seismic energy could go over here to Easter Island. Could go over here to Easter Island. Or could go over here to southern Chile or Argentina. It's happened before. USGS is only showing one earthquake over here in the mountains of Chile. One earthquake of all South America. That's impossible. That's literally impossible. This is a 4.3 earthquake over here in the Andes Mountains. Border with Chile and Argentina. A 4.3 earthquake. This is 170 kilometers deep. Still a fairly shallow earthquake. But they're only showing one earthquake here in South America. There are 36 earthquakes here in South America. 36. And USGS shows us one. USGS lies through omission. Omitting earthquakes are a lie. Or is a lie. Omitting earthquakes is a lie that should be punished with jail sentence. Because if they're having earthquakes here and someone gets hit and USGS is not telling them about it, guess what? Somebody's going to get hurt. And USGS, because they stay silent about it, are responsible for it. They're responsible. Along with that earthquake I told you about over here in Fiji, that 4.4, this is a 5.7 very large earthquake. A 5.5 to 5.9 are considered to be very large earthquakes. This is a 5.7. This is also 586 kilometers deep. This is also going to spawn a larger earthquake. A larger, more shallow earthquake. Larger, shallow earthquakes cause damage. Those moderate earthquakes I told you about are going to spawn 5s and possibly even a 6.0. This is a 5.7. This is going to spawn, folks, this is going to spawn a 6.8 to a 7.0 earthquake. This 5.7 very large earthquake is going to spawn a 6.8 to a 7.0 earthquake. Sometime within the next 3 to 10 days. Sometime within the next 3 to 10 days, we're going to see a 6.8 to a 7.0 earthquake either happen in this area, south or west here, into the Solomon Islands here, over here into Papua New Guinea, Papua Indonesia. It could go over here to Australia. It could go over here to Australia. Over here in southern Australia, we have 5 earthquakes here. Southern Australia, I'll show you that in a minute. USGS not saying word one about it. USGS not saying word one. Why not? Because they're too darn stupid. Too darn stupid. They have even said that they only show some earthquakes. They don't show everything. Really. Even that 5.7, guys, is going to propagate a 6.8 to 7.0 earthquake. What's going to happen? Major destruction. Major destruction. Upper 6.8, that's a very strong earthquake. If it gets to 7.0, it's going to be causing a major earthquake. 7.0 and larger are major earthquakes. Look what happens this coming weekend. We might see it by this weekend. This is only Monday. That earthquake could also go here to South America. It could. It could go over here to the Solomon Islands, or over here into Papua New Guinea. But it's going to go. And people are going to get killed. People are going to be injured. Homes and businesses are going to be destroyed. I tell you this because nobody else is going to say it. We've seen it happen. We've seen it happen time and time and time again. I've called them many times. When we've had those earthquakes happen, I've called it. And when it happened, one lady said, Ron called it last night. It happened. I don't like being right. I don't like being right because people die. That bothers me to no end. The agency can tell us, but they won't. The agency can tell us, but nobody will. John Francis says, Amen, Ron, we must stick together. I agree. Again, this earthquake down here in the Loyalty Islands is a 5.3. This is 21.2 kilometers deep. A very, very shallow earthquake. This earthquake just northwest of there. This is a 5.0 earthquake. Port Vila, Vanuatu. This is also a very shallow earthquake, 10 kilometers deep, 6 miles deep. This earthquake here is over in Papua New Guinea. It's a moderate 4.4, 102 kilometers deep. Now, one of the things that really ticks me off, Indonesia. USGS is not showing any earthquakes here in Indonesia. None. Why not? Because they're too stupid to do it. Too stupid. This whole area from western Indonesia all the way over here to Tonga and Samoa is the world's largest subduction zone. The world's largest subduction zone. 10 different tectonic plates. I'm sorry, not 10. 7 different tectonic plates. I don't know why I say 10. 7 different tectonic plates. One plate subducting under another here. One plate subducting under another. They're not showing any earthquakes here in Indonesia at all. There's 24 earthquakes here in Indonesia. Why are they not showing them? Inquiring minds want to know. 4 earthquakes here in Australia. Let me take this earthquake map down for the time being. I want to show you these earthquakes in Australia. Okay? It's sad. Why don't they show them? Why don't they show them? Okay? Let me show you this. I thought I had this map all set up here. Okay? Now, see this earthquake over on the left-hand side? This is a 2.5 earthquake, just off the coast of southwestern Australia. This earthquake over on the island here, on the continent of Australia, this is a different story. Actually, that one off the coast is a 3.3. That one off the southwest coast is a 3.3 small earthquake. This one over on the western side of Australia here, on the continent, is a 2.6 earthquake. A 2.6 earthquake. Folks, this one down here off the coast of southern Australia. This is a 3.4 earthquake. A small 3.4 earthquake. Why is USGS not at least talking about these small earthquakes? The threes. The 3.3 off the southwestern shore and down here just off the southern coast of Australia. 3.4. This one just east of there, just to the right, that's a 2.7. The one just east of there to the right is a 2.6. 5 earthquakes down here in Australia, and USGS doesn't show them. That's a crying shame. That is a crying shame. Why? Why not? Now I'm going to show you a few other earthquakes, and then we're going to end this thing because I want to talk about some other things tonight. Okay? Taiwan. Good old Taiwan. Before we get to Taiwan, I'm sorry, off the western coast of Luzon, Philippines. Luzon, Philippines. Luzon, Philippines is the northernmost island in the Philippines. The northernmost island here in the Philippines. This is a 4.8 earthquake. A moderate 4.8 earthquake. Again, look where it's at. This earthquake is on a fault zone. That fault zone comes out of Indonesia. Comes out of Indonesia, comes up here. Earthquakes out of Indonesia come up here to the Philippines. There are other earthquakes in there here in the Philippines, but USGS did not show them to us. Why not? Okay? This is a 4.8 moderate earthquake off the coast. Again, the waters of the South China Sea here absorbed the shock waves of this quake. A 4.8 is just a moderate quake. Normally, if it hits land where anybody is, it creates moderate damage. It can create moderate damage. Moderate quakes create moderate damage. USGS earlier this year changed the designation to a 4.0 to a 4.9 to light. There is nothing light about a 4.0 to 4.9 earthquake that caused damage. Not light damage, but moderate damage. Someday I'll tell you what a 4.5 earthquake did in Los Angeles in 2014. Someday I'll talk about that again. It's not pretty. It's not pretty. Over here on the south coast of Taiwan, this is a 4.7, 10 kilometers deep, 6.2 miles deep. Let's go north into Japan. Right here. This hit land. This hit land here. Right along the coastal area of southern, I believe this is Kyoto, Japan. This is a large 5.2 earthquake. 49 kilometers deep. Still a very shallow earthquake. The people living in this area had damage. There are people that live along the coastline of this great country. They saw a lot of damage here. Large earthquakes can create damage. Now, I've not personally heard of damage here today, but this is a large earthquake and it hit land here. This is a populated area. You can see the airport here. I bet they had damage as well. A 5.2 earthquake here in southern Japan today. Now, they're not showing any other earthquakes here in Japan. Not at all. Over here, this is the northernmost island of Japan. This is Hokkaido Island. Just northeast of there. This is in what they call the Kuril Islands that belong to Russia. The Kuril Islands that belong to Russia. This is a 4.8 moderate earthquake. Shikotan, Russia. Okay? 88 kilometers east of Shikotan, Russia. All these islands north of Japan belong to Russia here. Up here, we don't have any earthquakes here today to show you. And even the EMSC, the European agency, also doesn't show us any earthquakes here. That means to me there's no earthquakes. If the US and the European agency don't show any, that says another thing. Because the US agency doesn't show much of anything, but the Europeans do. Europeans do show about 90% of the earthquakes worldwide. USGS says there's 253 earthquakes worldwide. I call baloney. I call baloney. Over here in the Alaska Aleutian Islands, this is a moderate 4.8 earthquake. 28 kilometers southwest of Atka, Alaska. 28 kilometers southwest of Atka, Alaska. Now, you can see earthquakes hitting around these islands. This earthquake hit here, just off the coast of this island here. Over on the east side, over on the north side of this island, we have a volcano. Another volcano. Okay? But the Aleutian Island fault here, or the Aleutian Island Trench here, carries earthquakes originating from way down in Indonesia, way down in Tonga. Earthquake faults carry energy. Earthquake faults carry energy. Just to the east of here, Nikolsky, Alaska. This is a 3.3 earthquake here. A small earthquake. Not near any land. Just down here in the Aleutian Islands area. All the earthquakes are up here in mainland Alaska. Most all these earthquakes are minor tremors and minor earthquakes. Let's zoom in here to south central Alaska. This is northeast of Anchorage. Northeast of Anchorage. Go figure. Anchorage is way down here. This is Anchorage, Alaska here. So this earthquake that we just saw turn red here, which means these red earthquakes are earthquakes that just happened within the last half hour, 45 minutes. This is a 3.3 earthquake near Glacier View, Alaska. Glacier View, Alaska. This is 17.3 kilometers deep. Very shallow earthquake. Just south of there. This is a 1.7 near Knik River, Alaska. Knik River. K-N-I-K River, Alaska. A 1.7. So you see the difference between a 1.7 and a 3.3 earthquake here? That's a difference. We go further east here, almost directly east. This is a 2.2 earthquake near Nelchina, Alaska. Nelchina, Alaska, a 2.2 earthquake. South of there, a tremor. This is a 1.1 tremor, 43 kilometers north of Valdez, Alaska. North of Valdez, Alaska, tremors. South of there, this is a 3.1 near Tatalik, Alaska. Tatalik, Alaska. Okay? Just to the northeast, this is a 1.5. Just west of Tatalik here, this is a 1.9 2.0. 1.9 2.0. Why do I say that? Because USGS, whenever there's anything 0.9, you need to upgrade it to at least one small percentage point above that. Because it's not a 0.9 anything. USGS downgrades all the earthquakes. If you see 1.9, which would be normally a tremor, upgrade it to a 2.0, a minor earthquake. Because they downgrade it all the time. Now, let's go up here to basically Central Alaska. South Central Alaska. Denali National Park. This is a 2.0 earthquake. There is a major mountain here. A major mountain here in Denali, Alaska. The tallest mountain in North America. This is over on the northeastern flank of that mountain. How about that? This is a 2.0 minor earthquake up here in Denali, Alaska. But guess what? Again, USGS cannot tell its directions. They are saying this earthquake is 66 kilometers southeast of Denali, Alaska. It's not southeast anywhere. It's up here in the northern part of Denali, Alaska. They can't even tell us what's true. They can't give us the exact location because they don't know it. Or maybe they're too stupid. Or their people are too stupid. I think its management is too stupid. Okay? This is over on the northeast side of the biggest mountain in North America, and they're saying it's southeast of Denali. It's not. It's not. They're full of beans. They're full of beans. Like I said, there's nothing major going on in Alaska. Up here to the northwest, Chugnik, Alaska. This is a 2.0 earthquake here. This is a minor earthquake here near a volcano. Chugnik, Alaska has a volcano right here. This is a 2.0 earthquake near there. North of here. Okay, where you see this brown, light brown, tan area is the Arctic Circle. The Arctic Circle here. Okay? That's what we're seeing here, the Arctic Circle. Up here you see the north shore of Alaska. This is the oil and gas pumping operation here in Alaska. North Shore, Alaska. When we see earthquakes here, it's a big deal. it's a very big deal, because there could be an oil spill from a major earthquake. So far, the largest earthquake that I've seen here along North Shore, Alaska, was a 5.0 just 2 days before the Ridgecrest 7.1 earthquake hit. Whenever I come here, every day, I come up here to northern Alaska to see if there's a 5.0 earthquake here. I have distinct fears of seeing a large earthquake here, wondering if California is going to be next because of what happened back on July 3rd and 4th, 2019 in Ridgecrest, California. Oil and gas pumping region here in Alaska. Okay? Just so you know. Nothing major at all happening here in Alaska. There hasn't been anything major here in Alaska for a very long time. Just for kicks and giggles. USGS wants to tell us about 2 other earthquakes. This one is over in Afghanistan. There's actually more earthquakes than here. Here in Afghanistan, we're showing a 4.4 moderate earthquake. But they're not showing earthquakes in Tajikistan or Kazakhstan. Why not? Because I believe USGS is too stupid. Too stupid. South of there, southern Iran. Here's a 4.7 earthquake. A 4.7 earthquake. This is over here near the southern side of Iran. Okay? This is the edge of the plate. This is the edge of the plate. That's why we have earthquakes here in southern Iran in this location. It's the edge of the plate. This is a 4.7 moderate earthquake here. This is 20 kilometers deep. 20 kilometers deep. 10 miles deep. They're not showing any other earthquakes. Why? Why are they not showing other earthquakes? There are earthquakes here. There are a lot of earthquakes here. Over here in the eastern side of Turkey and Syria border region here. Right here. There are 46 earthquakes here. 46 earthquakes here. Why are they not showing them? Because they're too stupid. Just over a year and a half ago, there was a major earthquake here. A 9.0, 10.0 earthquake. We're still seeing earthquake aftershocks here. Earthquake aftershocks here, and USGS is not showing them. Why not, USGS? Get off your butts. Northern Turkey here. There's about 15 earthquakes here in northern Turkey. They're not showing us. Southern Turkey, there are another 7 or 8 earthquakes. Western Turkey over here. There's another 10 or so earthquakes here. Over here off the western coast of Turkey. See all these islands here? These are called the Volcanoes Islands. These Volcanoes Islands belong to Greece. There are earthquakes here as well. Down here we have Crete, Greece. There are earthquakes here in the western Mediterranean here. We go over here to mainland Greece. There are 30 earthquakes here in mainland Greece. 30 earthquakes. USGS not showing any of them. None of them. Down here, Sicily and southern Italy. We have 2 volcanoes going off on the islands here. Mount Etna and Stromboli volcanoes going off here. Every time we have an eruption of a volcano, we have a 5.0 earthquake. Why are they not showing anything here? Sicily has 2 or 3 earthquakes here. Down here in southern Italy, we're having about 10 earthquakes here. Let's pull up the map and go further to the north. Central Italy. There are 38 earthquakes here in central Italy. We're getting ready to have a 5.0 to a 6.0 earthquake here in central Italy. It's coming. Every time we've had swarms of earthquakes, we have a major, or not a major, but a large earthquake here. So far it hasn't happened. but it's going to. I promise you that. Earthquakes over here in Croatia, over here in southern Romania. Why are they not showing them? Over here in northern Italy, over here to the north of Italy here, on the southern Alps, we have some tremors. Over here in the southern Alps of southern Italy, or north central Italy here, we have earthquakes here in the Alps here of Italy. We have earthquakes here in the Alps, period. Switzerland and Germany have earthquakes here. Why are they not showing them? France has earthquakes here. Why are they not showing them? Over here at the border region of Spain and France right here, this border region has 2 earthquakes here every day. They're still not showing them here. Spain, southern Spain has a handful of earthquakes here. They're not showing those either. Not at all. Why not? In the Azore Island just south of Portugal, we have several earthquakes here. Most of those earthquakes are just 2.4, 2.54 earthquakes, minor earthquakes here. Even here in Portugal, in northern Portugal, we have a 2.3 earthquake there. They're not showing them. Inquiring minds want to know why. Scandinavia, Norway, and Sweden, and even Finland have earthquakes. They're not showing them. Over here in Iceland, we're having earthquakes here. We're about to have another volcanic eruption over here along the Reykjanes Peninsula here. The northern Reykjanes Peninsula right here. We're expecting it any time. We're expecting it any time. We expect it any time, probably within the next, I want to say, week or so. I don't think the eruption is going to take any longer than that. But it's going to, we're going to have another volcanic eruption here in the Reykjanes Peninsula here of Iceland within the next week. Okay? Within the next week. Richard Smith is telling us about a 3.4 small earthquake in northern Chile, Antofagasta, Chile. A depth of 296 kilometers deep. That is a medium depth earthquake. It's a fairly deep earthquake for Antofagasta, Chile. Okay? Unreal. Someone just said they ought to fire the director of the USGS. I agree. They should have fired him a long time ago. He's been in power a long time. The politicians are telling him and the managers of USGS what to say and what to do, or what to not do. They don't want anybody to know what's going on. Now, I want to go over here into northeastern Canada. Northeastern Canada. Here we have a 2.8 earthquake. Ormstown, Canada. 11 kilometers east of Ormstown, Canada. Interesting, but it's not the only earthquake that's here. Let me see if the U.S., or not the USGS, but the European agency will show any other earthquakes. No, they're not. No, they're not. I don't know why they're not. I would love to know why they're not, but they're not. Folks, there are 2 other earthquakes here. There are 2 other earthquakes here off the coast of northeastern Canada. 2 other earthquakes. Folks, there are just minor earthquakes. Just minor earthquakes over here in northeastern Canada here. 2 minor earthquakes. Why are they not showing those here? This is the European map. This is the European agency map. Why are they not showing the earthquakes? Maybe tomorrow I'll have to bring up the Canadian map. Roger Reynolds says their map is so bare. I agree. Usually the European map will show us a lot of earthquakes, but they're not. They're not. The European map is showing us earthquakes up here in Oklahoma right here. They're showing us earthquakes down here in southwestern Texas. Okay? Just for kicks and giggles, Oklahoma. Minco, Oklahoma. This is a 1.4 minor tremor, Minco, Oklahoma. Let's go southwest here. Okay? This is Hermleigh, Texas. Remember Hermleigh, Texas? We had a 5.4 earthquake that was really a 5.8 this past week. Hermleigh, Texas here. That is a 1.9, 2.0 earthquake. This is a 2.7. This is a 2.7 just south of Hermleigh. Okay? Earthquake's still happening there. Aftershocks. Aftershocks, guys. Laura Marie just gave us another $10 super chat. Thank you, Laura. God bless you. Laura Marie is a very dear friend of mine. We've been friends for more years than I want to think about. Either one of us want to think about. Laura Marie, God bless you for that. We love you and John. Tell John, Laura Marie has a husband whose name is John. A very nice guy. Laura Marie, please give your hubby a hug for us. Okay? Thank you, Laura. God bless you. Southwest of Westbrook, Texas. More swarms. Koinonia, Texas. This is a 1.7 here. 1.7 Koinonia, Texas. Okay? West of there, we still have a small cache of earthquakes here. Now, I won't point out each earthquake, but I'll tell you what they are. Okay? Up to the north, a 2.1 in Toyah, Texas. Another 1.6 Toyah, Texas. A 1.9, 2.0 Toyah, Texas. 2.0 Toyah, Texas right there. Just west of there, a 1.6. And south of there, Van Horn, Texas. Van Horn, Texas, we have a 2.1 earthquake there. Just to give you an idea. Laura Marie says she's my number one fan. Laura Marie, you're my number one fan as well. Now, I'm not sure whether I covered this today, but I should have. I should have. In fact, I'm going to go back and cover it right now. I thought I had it. I do have it in my cache of tricks here. There was an earthquake in southern Utah today. There was a moderate earthquake in southern Utah today. A 4.4, this is just east of Cedar City. Actually 4.5 east of Cedar City. It says a 4.5 magnitude earthquake shakes southern Utah. Did you have damage in Cedar City, Utah? No, there was just minor damage. Very, very minor damage in Cedar City. Cedar City is up here to the northwest here from that earthquake. This is in the hills southeast of Cedar City. Folks, what you need to know about that, this is also a volcanic area. This is also a volcanic area southeast of Cedar City, Utah. Volcanoes are down here in southern Utah. There are volcanoes east of eastern St. George. There are volcanoes west of St. George. There are volcanoes west of Cedar City. Maybe one day we'll have to show earthquakes and volcanoes here in Utah, because there are. But the agency doesn't still want to tell us what's going on. Plain and simple. Now, I want to tell you about something else. Remember 3 weeks ago, Mr. Matthew Crooks, a shooter that shot at President Trump? Guess what? Again, he was not the only one. He was not the only one. This picture was taken of Matthew Crooks just moments before he shot at President Trump. And again, the Secret Service agent didn't say anything about the roof of this building being almost level. This was not a steep roof, as the Secret Service director said. You could almost play a game of frisbee on this roof. Why was the Secret Service not stationed on this roof? Why was the Secret Service agent not on this roof? Because the Secret Service was against President Trump. They limited the number of agents that President Trump had. They also put other people and dressed them up as Secret Service to fool President Trump. He did not have a full contingent of agents. And they denied police officers from patrolling this area. Police departments rely on Secret Service denies. Secret Service relies on police departments to provide them with help in covering visits like this of a former president or any other dignitary. But the Secret Service lied about it. They lied about it. John Francis says they allowed it just like 9/11. Absolutely right. They allowed it to happen. And in fact, there are videos of Mr. Crooks standing with an FBI agent in Washington, D.C. Standing right next to an FBI agent in Washington, D.C. Incredible. Incredible. President Trump expects to visit back here in Pennsylvania very soon. Butler, Pennsylvania will be one of his next visits. Okay? I hope to high heaven that he gets a full contingent of Secret Service agents and FBI and police officers here to protect him, not to take him out. Harry Fodder says the footage that he sent shows a ladder. Yes, there are now pictures of a ladder, but Crooks used the top of an air conditioner to get him on the roof. Used an air conditioner that was next to the building to get him on the roof. Harry Fodder says Trump is going to be in Harrisburg on the 30th. Unreal. Mary M says that Secret Service sent their second string team. That's exactly right. Ill-trained, untrained agents. Incredible. Incredible. But that's not the least of the problems right now. Folks, there's something else going on that you ought to know about. Office of the Secretary, Department of Health and Human Services. You need to know about this too. The Secretary of Health and Human Services is issuing this notice pursuant to the Federal Food and Drug and Cosmetic Act, July 18th, 2024. July 18th, 2024. The Secretary amended the April 19th, 2013 Act. Determination made pursuant to the FD, the Food and Drug and Cosmetics Act, regarding the avian influenza A, H799N virus, and determined pursuant to his authority under the Act that there is significant potential for a public health emergency that has a significant potential to affect national security or the health and security of the United States citizens living abroad that involves biological agents, namely pandemic influenza A viruses and influenza A viruses with pandemic potential. Dates. Section 564, subsection B1, subsection C, determination was originally issued on April 19th, 2013, is amended as of July 18th, 2024. I want to show you this. You can go to your Google or your DuckDuckGo or your Firefox search engine and pull this information up. Okay? The Secretary of Department of Health and Human Services has issued this. Okay? It's an emergency declaration about influenza A, avian virus. Okay? They've been planning this for a long time as well. They've been planning this for a very long time. I was in on the planning way back in 2005 when I was in Denver. We had a drill about it on how we were basically going to close down Denver so people would not be able to get there or travel around. Okay? We were planning then. We were planning then for something to happen. The United States government was talking about it as well. But now the Secretary of Health and Human Services has issued an emergency declaration. I advise all of you to go and look at it because they have information that you might need to have. And in the coming days and months, we're going to talk more about it. Because I have a feeling something else is going to be released. Okay? Harry Potter says, I don't fall for their traps. I don't either. They have plans to lock us down again. Lock us down just prior to the election. That way we can't have an election. We can't vote. So their candidate will stay in power. Unreal. My buddy Don Patoka here in the chat, he's one of my best friends, and he's a mod on this channel. He says, prepare for the worst and live for the best. Folks who never fought a war have little clue about what war is or what they wish for. True. You may not know. You may not even care. But your very existence depends on you knowing what's going on. And you do need to know. You absolutely do need to know. Now, I talked about this about a week or so ago, and I'm going back to it now. Diane Kelman says, no mask for me, no mask for me either. Period. They can go and throw those things in the trash. I just don't care. Anyway, we talked a lot about earthquakes and everything else going on around the globe. I want to go over the first epistle of John. We talked about this a while back, just about a week ago. This is important. Yesterday we talked about Jesus Christ in our Sunday school class. S. Nort says you might need one for volcanic ash. Yes, for volcanic ash, but that's different. That's different. Yes, we could have a volcanic eruption here in the U.S. It could happen. It could happen. Now, let's go over the first epistle of John, chapter 1. That which we have seen and heard declare we unto you, that ye may also have fellowship with us. And truly our fellowship is with the Father and with his Son Jesus Christ. And these things write we unto you, that your joy may be full. This then is the message which we have heard of him, and declare unto you, that God is light, and in him is no darkness at all. If we say that we have fellowship with him and walk in darkness, we lie, and do not the truth. But if we walk in the light, as he is in the light, we have fellowship one with another. And the blood of Jesus Christ, his Son, cleanses us from all sin. If we say that we have no sin, we deceive ourselves, and the truth is not in us. If we confess our sins, he that is faithful and just to forgive our sins and to cleanse us from all unrighteousness. If we say that we have not sinned, we make him a liar, and his word is not in us. Brothers and sisters, take that scripture as you will. Walk in the light. Walk in the light of Jesus Christ. The Lord lives. He hears and answers our prayers. He hears and answers our prayers, brothers and sisters. I bear testimony to that. I love our Savior Jesus Christ. I have a testimony that he lives. He loves us. Many of you can also say the same thing. Jesus Christ loves you, and he loves each and every one of us. Read your scriptures, brothers and sisters. Read your scriptures. On Sundays, come to our Sunday school class entitled Come Follow Me, and study with us. Study with us and find out more about our Savior. More about him and what he wants us to do. He wants us to prepare as well. Our scriptures have God's word. God's word for us. And God's scriptures are here for us with the truth of what God wants us and needs us to do. May God bless you. May God be with you this day and always. Brothers and sisters, if anything else major happens, we will be on the air tonight as soon as the information becomes available. Otherwise, we will see you same time, same bat station tomorrow evening, sometime just after 6 p.m. Eastern Time. I hope to see all of you here. We love you. My wife and I pray for each of you every day. Please know that. God be with you. God be with you always. God be with you until we meet again. We'll see you on the other side. Have a great night, folks. Do know that I love you. I care. Have a good night. We'll see you on the other side. Good night, everybody. Much love.